Good evening. Welcome to Nita Bisita. The Congressional Medal of Honor is the highest military award that the United States has to present to its citizens. Many people know about it. What a lot of people don't know too much about is its counterpart for civilians. It is called the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It was established in 1945 by President Truman for notable service by civilians in war. It was amended in 1963 by President Kennedy for notable service by civilians in peace. Just the same, it has the equivalency of the Medal of Honor. Last year, Mo Udall of Arizona was one of the recipients. Last month, Bob Dole of Kansas was presented the medal. Both were in recognition of their service to the United States for half a century. Backtracking now to a half a century ago, in 1946, a simple ceremony took place in the Naval Governor's office here on Guam. The nation's highest civilian award, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, was being presented to Antonio Cruz Otero, a son of Guam, by Rear Admiral Pownell on behalf of President Harry S. Truman. The medal presented to Tun Antonio at the prime of his life at age 40 was one of the first ones awarded to any American. Antonio Cruz Otero was a very religious person, and it was characteristic of him to participate in religious activities such as he was doing here during a procession shortly after liberation. It was this profound loyalty to his belief in the Catholic Church that led him to take the responsibility of hiding Navy Petty Officer George Ray Tweed from Japanese forces for 21 months. By October of 1942, Tweed was the only American left in the jungle. Tun Antonio was asked if he would shelter the renegade American whom he had never met and did not know. At first, he declined. He didn't want to get involved because he didn't want to put the entire Otero clan in jeopardy. As he started to head home, however, Tweed came out of the bushes. He was skinny and dirty with long hair and torn clothes. Mr. Otero was to relate later that Tweed looked so pitiful that he was reminded of a painting of Christ as he might have looked just before he was nailed to the cross. It was at that moment that he decided that it was his Christian duty to help. For more than 600 days after that, he and his wife Josefa took care of Tweed. Ever present was the pervasive sense of danger of being caught and executed. Enemy patrols continued, and many people were tortured and some executed over allegations that they were hiding Tweed. On July 10, 1944, Tun Antonio found a note from Tweed stating that he was being picked up by a Navy destroyer. After he returned to the States, Blake Clark wrote a book about Tweed's experience entitled Robinson Crusoe, U.S. Navy. When the book reached Guam, negative reaction was immediate and strong. Tweed was accused of betraying those who had helped him, and there was an implication that a priest had broken the seal of confession. Tweed, a non-Catholic, vehemently denied the accusations against him, but to no avail. The damage to his reputation was heavy, and the book was essentially banned. Tun Antonio, who spent countless hours alone with Tweed during the 21 months of isolation and got to know and trust him like a brother, stayed above the fray and remained loyal to his friend, a friendship that was to last the rest of their lives. It is supremely ironic that Tun Antonio received his medal for his services that enriched the nation. Yet his father and all the Oteros were to be denied most of their beautiful land that belonged to him and his children. Anderson Air Force Base and Naval Communications Station now occupy the Otero family land. Shortly before he died, Tun Antonio was being interviewed by a network reporter from New York who said, "You must hate the United States for taking so much of your land away from you and your family." Tuna Otero laughed and said, "No, my dear. I love America and I love Americans. Only a few bad officials did this to us. And now it's up to all of you in America to right this wrong." Regarding the Medal of Freedom that he received from President Truman, he would say that it was meant for many others. Among them were Juan Pangilinan of the Mali family, E.T. Carville, Agatha Johnston, and the beloved priest Father Jesus Basa Dueñas. The year that George Sweet returned to the United States, the movie of the year that year was Going My Way. It was about a priest portrayed by Bing Crosby. And the most popular musical on Broadway was Carousel. And the most popular tune in that musical was You'll Never Walk Alone. It has been my real pleasure doing this particular episode because I happen to have known Tuna Antonio Otero when I was a boy and knew him for the rest of his life. He was a distinguished son of Guam, and it's been my pleasure doing this episode. Good evening. Si Zeus Maasi. Si Ben Blaso.